Hi.
How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, good. Yeah.
How's
Really-
your week been? It's been good?
It's been good. Yeah, it's like I just feel like we have a lot going on, but overall it's good, It's like just trying to stay focused on our priorities and keep moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people. I feel like springtime is, I don't know, it almost feels like more stuff like starts to kind of pop on.
Totally.
So, yeah, it gets crazy. Well, good. So, I think today I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about I've been hearing, I guess, from my clients especially this last week, but definitely a resounding, over and over again as we have our client check-ins is that everyone kind of always feels pretty overwhelmed when we first start working together. Not necessarily like our interactions, me and them, but the process of what it takes and what it looks like to start to be healthy and to create a healthy lifestyle. So I think like people understand that, like they understand what I'm, asking of them and the changes that they should make. They know all of that. But even like suggesting the small tips that I say, which is, usually like try and start small, like do what you can, even then it can still seem like too much for them. They kind of feel like burdened and they get stressed and they really don't know where to turn. So we're hoping, my clients and I, that you can kind of shed some light on that since that is one of your expertise and just kind of like walk us through that process, like what that looks like. Like a newbie that is starting to try and cultivate this healthy lifestyle for them, but they're like fresh, fresh out of the box. They have no idea what to do. Kind of just, need some clarity around that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a good question because I think it applies to so many people. And like once you get into that overwhelm, sometimes it's just easier to just shut down or just quit or give up. And so it's such a huge thing. And I see it all the time too. It's a lot to take on. So yeah, I love this. I love this question.
Good. Yeah.
Awesome. Yay. So I think the first thing is like helping them to really, which I'm sure you do with your clients, but like really identify like why they're doing this. Like, what's their big reason they're doing this? Is it because they've had all this digestive pain and discomfort? Is it because they want to see their grandkids grow up? Is it because they want to feel like themselves again if they're like a busy mom or something? Or like, so that is ultimately like the big picture and like keep reminding them of that as they get into this journey because there's going to be so many opportunities that they just kind of want to pause or take a break or give it up in general. So that I think is one thing to remember up front. And then when it comes to like overwhelm, I mean, I get overwhelmed so easily, and I think that is just human nature. Like we're constantly being fed new ideas, we're constantly being led in different directions, and then we have our old programming and our old beliefs that kind of think like as soon as we're trying something new, they're like, no, 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 that's a little uncomfortable. Let's take you back to like where you need
Yeah.
to be. So understand like overwhelm is like so normal and natural, because oftentimes we're like, they make it look easy. And it's like, no, they just might be a step ahead on their journey. And, so keeping that
Mhm.
perspective of your mindset is going to be huge. But I also think like when it comes to like making big changes, one thing I love to do and one thing I like to work with my clients on is really creating like a resource list of things that might really help you specifically. And that looks different for everyone. And so like for example, if you have a client who they're really busy and they're trying to eat healthy and they're kind of searching for like where to start and they don't have a lot of time but they know they want to do this and then they go on Pinterest, like that is an absolute overwhelm, like
Yeah.
central, and you think it's where you should go because there's so many ideas there, but
Right.
oftentimes that's like enough to shut you down. So really like pulling back and looking over like what do you actually need to move you forward? Like do you need recipes? Do you need personal support? Like do they need to reach out to their sister, their neighbor, their friend, me, somebody else to like give them personal support? Or do they need like support is in the terms of like equipment? Like do they need an Instant Pot or do they need to use Instacart because they need their groceries delivered? Like, so kind of identifying where specifically they're finding the overwhelm. Is it overwhelming that they get so much information, or is it overwhelming that they don't have enough time, or is it overwhelming that like they don't know what they're doing, and then they might need knowledge. So, what do you find, is more of a common struggle for them?
So I think I mean, it's definitely a combination of all of
Yeah,
those. I don't think it's one because these are people that are brand new at this. So yeah, for a lot of them, it is the equipment, like they don't know what the Instant Pot is. They don't, they don't have a crock pot. Like they don't have those tools to use. And then also, yeah, Instacart. I think everyone probably has access to that, but I really still think a lot of people don't know about it.
right.
So, yeah, that's such a great tip for everyone. I think I probably forget to mention that for sure. So,
And it can
yeah,
be actually overwhelming too when you think like,
yeah,
oh, now you want me to throw technology in the loop. I mean, I have
yeah,
really good girlfriends that I love Instacart. I use it all the time. If you're not familiar with it, it's an app or a website that does your grocery shopping for you. A person actually does it, kind of like an
yeah,
Uber driver. So you make your list, they get the app, they get your grocery list. While they're shopping for you, they can like communicate with you and say like, hey, do you want this instead? They ran out of that. And so the first couple times it is really overwhelming. But if you're finding that like identifying what the piece of the puzzle that's really hard for you is going to be so helpful. So if you're finding that like you know how to cook healthy food, you just don't have it because you can't get to the store because you're running carpool or you're working late, it's like that is going to be a great resource for you. If you're finding that like going to the store is no problem and you bought all this stuff that's on your grocery list like chicken and vegetables and you don't know what to do with it, then looking into something where a person can kind of help you say like, hey, why don't we try roasting all those vegetables, or breaking down the actual cooking process for that is going to be really helpful, so finding out where the overwhelm is it just that this looks drastically different than your life used to look, and then it's kind of like, well, you know what, really focusing on the mindset is going to be a huge piece of that, because so often change is overwhelming because it's not comfortable. And so really taking a deep breath to say like, this is going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but it's okay. No, everyone's
mhm,
going to be okay. Like it's not going to feel normal. and
right.
and that alone can cause overwhelm. I mean, your body wants to stay the way it is. It wants homeostasis. It wants to, so if you're working against that and trying to make some changes, like just owning the fact that it's not going to be, really comfortable at first. It will get that way as you practice. And then go back to what you said, like those little changes or little one thing at a time is going to be really helpful. So
Yeah, so those are great. That's such good ideas and a good way to kind of almost recenter their focus, like trying to just focus on what is the main struggle, kind of
what
what you
is
were saying.
overwhelming?
Yeah. So I think that is just really important is looking kind of narrowing it down, right? And like starting with that one thing. Like
Yeah.
you need someone like do you just need recipes or do you need to learn how to cook, like what does that look like? So that's really smart. I love that, just decompartmentalizing it all and kind of structuring it out that way. That's such a helpful idea for sure. I love that. Now I do have some people that have asked about meal delivery services, not the food like already being cooked, but where they like send it to you and you have to cook it and all of that. Do you think that is a wise option, or like what are your feelings behind that?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love this question. Yeah. Okay, so you're talking about like a Blue Apron or a
Yeah,
plate of
like the Hello Fresh. I mean, there's so many out there. Green Chef. Yeah, there's
yeah.
like a ton. But yes, along that lines.
So the idea is they mail you a box that has all your ingredients in it and a recipe, and then you don't have to go to the
Yeah.
store. You have exactly. So this is a tricky one. It actually can be an amazing service for the right type of person. I found that with my brother and my sister-in-law, before they had kids, they live in California. They both work a lot, and they were newly married, and they did one of the services, and they loved it because they got their 2 servings of food. They learned a new way to cook. They learned a recipe. They had fun doing it. They didn't have a lot of things pulling them in a lot of directions. They traveled, so they didn't need leftovers. And so it was great for them. They got a lot of new ideas. Now, what
Yeah.
I found though, is with a lot of my clients who are balancing just like way more people as far as like kids and even just their own life, and they want to like work once and then eat a few times, it is actually like a huge disservice to them. So this has been something that I feel very strongly about, because you kind of go into this making this purchase thinking like, oh, they make it look so easy and this is going to like help me so much. And then what happens is you get this ingredient box, and usually it's like, it's kind of normal, but there might be a couple unfamiliar things. So you're trying to like learn as you cook. It's the weeknight, so it's already a busy night. Then you're not spending a little bit of time. You're spending if you're good and you understand everything, you're spending a solid 30, 45 minutes. And if you're trying to learn it, you might be spending an hour cooking, you know? So you have to put in a lot of work. And then what happens is you make this meal and they literally send you like half of a pepper, you know? So at the end of the day, like there's no food left and you've just spent all this time, and it might have been delicious, but like, that's it. That was just that one meal. And the way that I think is so critical for people in general is to be able to maximize their cooking. So like if you're going to make chicken on the grill, you make some extra for lunch, or if you're going to make soup in the Instapot, you make extra for the next day's dinner or 2 days later. And so this does such a disservice to that, because you just spent all this work and you have nothing left. So actually this is such a great thing to bring up, because I think it's one of those things where people think it should work really well for them, but it actually is creating more work, and then they're spending money on it, and then they're feeling like they failed at this thing that should be so easy. But I don't see it that way at all. So yeah, absolutely. That's such a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. And if you are someone who's tried that, just understand there's a couple ways to make it work. Like you get the recipes ahead of time on the email. So you can always buy more of some things and think like, oh, if I'm making this chicken and rice dish, I'll add extra chicken. But then at the same time, I think, then what's the point of doing that? Unless you just need some new recipe ideas, then it could be great. You could say like, oh, we're having this chicken and pepper and rice dish. I'll just buy extra chicken and peppers and throw them in. But really examine like why you're doing that. If you're doing it to save time, I don't think that's the answer. And I'm happy that we can dive into that another day, just like ways to cook that can help you save time. But know that you're not alone in feeling like frustrated if that didn't work really easily for you. So,
Yeah, I love that. That's such a good response, because I think you're exactly right. I think for the right person, it's really helpful. But you brought up such a good point with the time aspect. And yeah, I mean, if you have the time and whatever, and you want to make yourself a really nice meal that you're only going to eat one time, then cool, that's great. But most of us don't have that time, and we really do need to be creating meals that feed our families and where we have leftovers. So I think that's such a good point, is the amount of time you certainly could spend on that, preparing that. You could have prepped, 6 chicken breasts in the Instant Pot, and 6 potatoes in the oven, and
yes,
giant salad, like something, so it's
exactly.
yeah, that's really good. I love that, because I definitely was kind of trying to figure out a good way to cultivate that to my clients, to get that across that, hey,
Yeah.
so I think that's definitely really clear. I love that. Do you have I know for my clients, like different ways that they ask is like how they can purchase in bulk, or like what are easy ways to kind of do that. Do you have any like just simple tips and tricks before we kind of head out today on those?
On cooking in bulk.
Yeah, and cooking in bulk. Like what are like just some like 3 quick things that are really easy that someone could, go and implement tomorrow?
Totally. Absolutely. This is definitely a way that I work with my clients a lot. And the first one is Mondays, whatever, like maximize your Monday. So whatever you're going to do Monday, really maximize it for your week. You kind of have this little Monday motivation, and cook something that can carry you at least through Tuesday. Not necessarily for dinner, but like at least Tuesday, Wednesday for lunch. So I love the Instapot. We could talk for an hour about that. I always tell like my classes and my clients, like I should sell Instapots, because I'm like such a fan, because they're just amazing. But
Yep.
pot, Instapot, whatever you do, just like a lot of chicken and a sauce that's your favorite. So it could be a salsa, it could be a soyaki, or a different version, like a coconut aminos or a version of like an Asian, or it
Yeah.
could be Italian dressing, like olive oil, balsamic, things like that. But just a lot of chicken in that. Shred that. You can use it for burritos. You can use it for salads. You can use it for rice bowls. Yeah. So that's one. So maximize your Monday. Make a lot of chicken in your favorite sauce and kind of just change it up so you can use it. And then right now, still, since the grill isn't like a consistent thing, I go with soups. I mean, I have a lot of clients that we just like focus on one great soup recipe a week. And it's amazing how having it for dinner and then a leftover for lunch is just a great thing. And if all you can do is cook chicken and make soup, I mean, you are very far ahead of the game. So
Yeah.
you could
That's
even
great.
buy some arugula or something that's already, already cut. You don't even have to cut it. And then throw together a few things. So yeah, I think there's so many ways to do that. You just kind of have to shift your mindset and and be open to just like trying things and seeing if you love them, or maybe they're not your favorite. That's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. So just
Perfect.
getting in the habit of like doing something bulky on Monday, and then it'll carry you through.
I love that. Thank you. Yeah, that's so helpful. So yeah, have a good motivational Monday, get that energy out, cook something that's definitely going to last you through Tuesday, and then focusing on the one really good soup recipe. Yeah, before we head into official spring, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I
awesome.
still feels good still. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. And I mean, I know people eat gazpacho in the summer too, so you could focus on that. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's such, again, really good, smart ideas that are quick and simple, and everyone can implement those. So thank you for sharing. That's awesome. Lots of good information today. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I think
Guys, let us,
overwhelm.
yeah, let us know if you have or if you try any of these tips,
Yeah.
and it's like your first time, or you share them with a friend or family. Definitely let us know. Comment below, and let us know how that goes. And if there are other tips and tricks that really work for you and your family, share those with us as well, because we love to share them with the community here. So thank you so much for
Thank
being here. I'll look
you.
forward to our next chat next week.
That sounds good. Yes. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
Okay. Bye.